see what's happening. The cost at fuel pumps, the price of food, cost of energy. We all know how tough it is and how tough it can be. And as with COVID, we see the same waves, the same problems around the world, in America, in Europe, in Australia. And we can see the causes as clear as day. First, the disruption in supply chains and the sudden demand for oil and gas as the global economy came out of COVID, and then a new surge in prices caused by Putin's aggression. The surge in the price of oil and gas now as the world struggles to end its addiction to Russian hydrocarbons. The surge in the price of food, 25 million tons of grain. Grain the world desperately needs, still locked up in silos in Odessa because the Black Sea is now littered with mines. And of course we're going to get through this, and the markets will eventually adjust and new supply will come on and prices will come down again. And in the months ahead, we are going to have to do what we did before. We're going to use our fiscal firepower that we built up, that we have to help. We're going to put our arms around the British people, again, as we did during COVID. And never forget, there's only one reason why we were able to afford furlough and all the £400 billion worth of support. And that was because we Conservatives had managed the economy sensibly and responsibly. And there's only one reason now why our economy is strong enough to continue to help, and that is because we took the tough decisions and got the big calls right when, by the way, Labour was telling us to stay in lockdown. And Mark Drakeford, I think, actually criminalised people for going into the office, didn't he? Labour's tells you all you need to know. Remember Captain Hindsight telling us it was reckless to open up the economy in July last year? Well, we ignored him. And weren't we right? Yeah. Just as we ignored Labour over Christmas and New Year. And that's why, because we took those tough decisions, youth unemployment is at or near a record low. We have 500,000 more people in payrolled employment than before the pandemic. And our economy is now bigger than before COVID. And at the same time, as we use our economic strength that we've built up to help people through the post-COVID aftershocks, we're going to do the necessary thing. We're going to fix the underlying problems, just as we did with COVID. Remember, while Labour vacillated, we vaccinated. And let me ask you, where was that? Who was vaccinated with AstraZeneca, by the way? Fantastic. Good for you. So was I. Let me ask you where that precious fluid was bottled. Close. Who said Macclesfield? Graham. No, Macclesfield is only partly right. Millions and millions of doses were produced in Wales, in Wrexham. In Wrexham, by the way, that is now represented by a Conservative MP for the first time, not in a generation, but for the first time since 1935. Wrexham that now has a state-of-the-art vaccine manufacturing plant, Wockhart, because they're called, because the motto of the family is Walk Hart. They believe in Hart Walk. That would have been unimaginable 25 years ago when I first campaigned in the adjacent seat. And by the way, that seat too now has a Conservative member of Parliament. And the same Wrexham that today I think we can announce, or maybe it was yesterday, I can't remember, Her Majesty has now accorded the status of a city for her Jubilee year. And Wales will be at the heart of our mission now to fix the underlying issues in our energy market, all the things that previous governments have failed to address. Wales, with its boundless potential for clean energy of every kind, we're massively accelerating our programme of offshore wind, and particularly off the coast of South Wales. We're putting in now we've announced today. Another £160 million worth of investment into port facilities that will enable the companies to come and install and build the turbines that we need, so that we can take our offshore wind capacity. I mean, we're already the Saudi Arabia of wind, but we're going to take it from 11 gigawatts now to 50 gigawatts of wind by 2030. That's 50 gigawatts from offshore wind. That's half the total electricity consumption of the UK. And Wales, with its nuclear heritage and potential squandered under Labour, which we're now reviving, with a new reactor every year rather than every decade. Not just in Wilford, I can see Atomic Kitten there in the front row. But today I can tell you that we're looking to build another small modular reactor on the site at Trasfynydd. Did Simon say that already? I hope this is news to you, but I think it's fantastic news. And that is how. It's by investing in nuclear. By the way, 50 gigawatts of offshore wind, 25 gigawatts of nuclear. That's how we will make sure that we have the base load, not just for British households, for people who are feeling the pinch, make sure we don't have this problem again, but for our industry, for our businesses, from Welsh steel to the Welsh aircraft manufacturing that makes half the wings of all the passenger jets in the world. I think Simon may well have said that, but it's worth saying again. To the electric heaters warming the lambing sheds of Wales. They probably stopped warming the lambing sheds of Wales now, but they still, agriculture needs energy. Welsh business needs energy, and we will provide, and the whole, not just Wales, but the whole country, with long-term, low-carbon, secure and dependable supply. And the reason we're going ahead at this scale and at this pace is that, as I say, this government takes the big decisions, the tough decisions that have been shirked for a generation. And never forget, the reason why we're in the position we are is because it was a Labour Party in 1997, before their 13 years in power, who said there was no case, no economic case for more nuclear power, with a characteristic prescience. Remind them of that every time they complain about energy shortages and energy prices in our country. My friends, let us get on with the job, uniting and levelling up across Wales and across the whole country, with investment in roads and rail across the north of Wales, throughout the country, gigabit broadband. I think I heard Simon mention that, gigabit broadband, which is of such value to communities, particularly remote rural communities. Those infrastructure investments are helping to drive jobs and growth across the economy. It is a massive and exciting agenda for change. Infrastructure, skills, technology. That is how we are going to transform our country and make it fit for the future. And can I just ask you, do you think at this juncture, when Putin is muttering recklessly about using his nuclear arsenal, do we really want our defence policy handed over to a bunch of semi-repentant Corbynista loons, to put it mildly? Never forget, 8 of the shadow front bench, including the shadow foreign secretary, voted to scrap this country's independent nuclear deterrent. Is that the right thing for our country now? Is that the right thing for NATO now? Is that the right thing for the world, for Ukraine? Absolutely not. Do we want Labour running the economy when there has never, when all they ever want to do is...
The Prime Minister speaking in Wales there. We'll have more on that in just a moment. But first, this is Sky News coming up today.
Should heads roll now over partygate, Prime Minister? Are you worried about the Sue Gray report, Prime Minister?
No apology for breaking lockdown rules, as the Prime Minister says he wants to wait for the Civil Service's final report.
That will be entirely up to Sue Gray, and I'll be looking forward very much to seeing what she has to say, and fingers crossed that will be pretty soon next week.
Cases of monkeypox more than double in the UK as the global spread continues. Ukrainian troops defending the steelworks in Mariupol are ordered to stop as more people are evacuated. And football's pitch invasion problem worsens with a manager now under investigation.